In this video, I'm gonna go over the exact sales funnel that I've used to generate over $1 million in coaching offers. As you can see right here, $672,000 collected, 225K collected, 168K, $40,000, $54,000, and $20,000 to $30,000 in between some launches. Now, this sales funnel hasn't just worked with one offer. It's worked with offers including but not limited to freelance brand scaling, day trading, clothing brand, and real estate. Now, there's three pillars that we're going to go over: the funnel mechanism, the sales mechanism, and the scaling mechanism. Now, the funnel that we use is a sales funnel. Now, there is two specific types of sales funnel. There's a lead magnet funnel and there's a funnel to just a straight book to call. Now, with my clients, depending on what niche you are, because this is very, very nuanced, but typically, I work with people in the B2C space and they post a lot of lifestyle content. When you post a lot of lifestyle content, you're gonna give out a free lead magnet. Now, that lead magnet is gonna be some sort of a free training, a free class, a free strategy, whatever you wanna call it. So in this client's case, we call it a free training. So these lead magnet right here, as you can see, the first thing first that comes up with the lead magnet is the copy. Now, with this client right here, and with all coaching offers, you want to have a headline that shows some sort of transformation. So as you can see right here is how I went from a typical 9-to-5 worker to making X amount of money as a freelance brand scaler. With the day trading offer, how I went from struggling, how I went from staring at charts 8 hours a day to making 6 figures a year trading only 2 hours a day. Now, you want some sort of transformation to happen. So the how I went from X to how I went from X works extremely well. Now, the conversions that you're going to be looking for with this opt-in is anywhere between 23 to 30%. The middle range that I found with my coaching offer is about 25, 26%. It obviously depends from where the lead source. TikTok is going to be slightly lower. What I found to be the worst at converting though is Instagram, believe it or not, but it also depends by the offer. Now, once someone clicks on the play button or clicks on the give me the free training button, a pop-up is going to come requesting for their first name, email, and phone number. Now, we're going to get to exactly where this contact information is being sent, but next thing, we're going to go into the actual funnel. Now, as you can see, what it's going to take them to is the exact blueprint I use to get brands to pay me over 6 figures a month as a freelance wrestler, and how you can too. Now, this one is the exact trading blueprint that lets you to trade profitably for just 2 hours a day without staring at charts all day. Now, this is a basic VSL. Now, if you don't know what a VSL stands for, it's a video sales letter. And the goal of the VSL is to take people from cold viewers, people who don't know about you, don't know about your business model, to understanding your business model and to being able to buy. Now, the better your VSL is, the better it's going to be to converting those people and bringing them to the next step, which is applying right here. But before we move on to the next page is after, I don't use it here, but you want a risk, some sort of risk reversal, right? So it is with no prior trading experience or complicated strategies, right? This is where understanding your ICP is extremely important. And then the VSL needs to end with a call to action. The call to action is going to be to click the button below to apply for whatever your resource is or whatever your one-on-one coaching program is. Now, that's going to take us to the not third page, but to the next section, which is testimonials. After you have the VSL at the top, you have the headline and exactly what you're going to be teaching them in the VSL. It's just packing the page with testimonial. As you can see right here, there's a testimonial, more testimonial. Now, for the trading offer, exactly the same thing: testimonial, testimonial, testimonial. Now, when they click apply for access, it's gonna bring them to one-on-one access. Now, this funnel is more specifically for high ticket clients, for people who are doing high ticket, which is anywhere between $2,000 and more, where the Typeform is gonna ask them a couple questions, take in their information, and send that information to a setter to qualify them even more and then book them on a call. Now, this is 3 different pages. So you have the first page, which is getting their information. The second page is these 2 right here, which is selling them. And then the last page is the Typeform, which is just embedded on a regular white piece of page. Now, there's another way of doing a sales funnel. This one right here is straight up just having a stronger call to action, because you have to understand that not everyone is a beginner. A beginner is not going to want to watch a free blueprint or a free training. They're going to want your exact offer and they're going to be ready for it. This right here is the exact offer. As you can see, scale your brand, apply for one-on-one coaching where I'll scale your brand to 5 figures in 90 days with my proven 3-step system, which is still just a VSL and then a button to apply for one-on-one coaching. And under it, you have results. Same thing here, right? Unlock the 3-step Rainmaker innovation strategy that 500 plus wholesalers are using to consistently turn dead deals to $100,000 checks with a small risk reversal right there, right? Same thing right here, a risk reversal or your money back. And then that leads them to applying for some sort of one-on-one access. This is actually the same exact page. Just under it, you have testimonials. As you can see, numerous testimonials, which is then going to bring us to the type form where they're going to apply. Right now, depending on what type of audience or what your exact offer is, you can have a straight book to call. But typically, if you want to have a really high show up rate and a really high close rate, you're going to want to have a wall in between that, where a setter contacts them, ensures that they're qualified. But we're going to go into that, later on. As you can see, these circles right here, is exactly where we collect the data. So for this type of funnel with the free training, we collect their data at the very beginning with the pop-up, and with the direct offer, we collect their data at the end when we ask for the data inside of the type form. Now, this data is sent to Go High Level, which is a CRM that I use, ConvertKit, which is the email marketing software that I use, where we set up a 5-day email sequence that turns cold prospects to warm using your language and tonality. And we also segment this on free training, webinar, or one-on-one, depending on exactly what you are selling, right? The whole thing with marketing is really understanding your ICP. And it's also sent to Discord, which is where we manage our team, right? And all of this is done using Zapier. Zapier is an excellent tool. If you're not using it, go on ahead and use it. Now, that right there is the exact funnel that I use for these coaching offers. Now let's move on to the sales funnel. Now, the sales funnel is where things start getting fun, right? The first thing first is the CRM. If you don't know what a CRM stands for, it's a customer relationship management. All it does is it manages your customers, or allows you to easily manage them. So I'm going to show you the exact stages and pipelines that I set up for coaching offers that have generated over $1 million. The first thing is the new lead. As soon as a lead pops in, either from the free training or applies for one-on-one, they get sent right here to new leads, right? If you have a low ticket offer, now this funnel right here is more specifically for high ticket. Now, after you're 3, 4, 5, 6 months in and you have the front end and the high ticket offer really fully built out, then you can start working on low ticket. Now, if someone is a low ticket buyer or someone that doesn't qualify to work one-on-one and doesn't have enough money, we put them in the low ticket, and this is where we just downsell them. Now, then there is same day set. So these are people who are qualified and then are booked later on that day. For example, if the setter goes through the call and figures out this prospect is qualified, but right now it's just not a good time, we're not going to book them in for the next day. We're just going to call them up 3, 4, 5 hours later and then book them in right then and there when they are available. Next thing, we have the 6-hour follow-up. If a prospect doesn't answer the first 3 times they're called, they're just going to get moved to the 6-hour follow-up, where the setter is going to contact them again. After contacting them twice in one day, then they're going to get moved to the first day follow-up, which is where we're going to contact them 24 hours later. Same thing, SMS and 3 dials. Now, if they don't answer, then they're going to be contacted one last time and move to the last day pipeline, right? And if they still don't answer, then they get moved to dead. We lost the lead wasn't interested, or anything like that. Now, the dead pipeline is where leads that are not interested, leads that are trolls, fake scams, things like that get moved to. Now, we also have the long-term pipeline. The long-term pipeline is, for example, if a lead says they don't have money right now, but they may have it in a couple of days or in a couple of weeks, or to reach back out to them after they finish school, or whatever the case may be, we move them to the long-term pipeline, and we add a note just to remind us to contact them back later in the future. Now, the next pipeline stage is the book call. Once a call is booked, they just get moved right here into the book call section, and once they get moved here, a notification gets sent to Discord, which is our communication HubSpot with the setters, closer, sales manager, and with all the team, that notifies everyone that a call has been booked. Now that's going to bring us to the second piece, which is an SDR, or better known as a setter. A setter's job is to personally follow up with every qualified or unqualified lead. It's a warm-up process before they speak to the closer and increase the call booking and show up rate. Now, once a setter qualifies a prospect and books them on a call, there is an SMS reminder. This is the reason why my agency has an average of a 90% show up rate. We have a 24-hour reminder, a 12-hour reminder, an 8-hour reminder, a 4-hour reminder, a 1-hour reminder, 30-minute reminder, and a join now reminder. So this is over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reminders. There's 6 reminders ensuring that the prospect shows up to the call. Now, if a prospect does not show up to this call, and also I forgot to add in here that an hour before the call, we have the setter specifically call them up and make sure that they have watched the pre-call materials that are added into these SMS and emails, and that they are ready and have the link for the call that is coming up. Now, simultaneously, like I just said, in these emails and SMS, a pre-call material is being sent, and the job with a pre-call material is to handle objections, explain the business model if needed, and excite the prospect for the call. Now, these pre-call materials are done by the offer owner. It's just simply a landing page where it's a 1 to 2 minute long video, very, very short, that accomplishes these 3 things. Now, that's then gonna take us to the last piece of the sales system, which is a closer. Now, the closer's job is to handle the sales calls and closes deals for you. He's trained to sell your offer with confidence, and he only speaks to qualified or warm leads. Now, a couple of you are obviously going to slip through the cracks because the setters aren't perfect, but that is the closer's role. Now, the closer also has a different pipeline to the setter. Once a call is booked, now the first pipeline we have here is closed. If a call is closed, they're going to be enclosed and for how much they have been closed for. And then we have the no close, right? If the prospect isn't closed, then they're put inside of the no close. If a prospect decides not to show up, they're moved here in the closer, and then it is now the closer's job to follow up with the prospect, ensuring that we get them back in the sales system, in the sales process, and potentially close on. Now, for example, there's going to be some objections that the closer is not going to be able to handle, like payment issues or bank issues, which is why we have to follow up short term. So follow up to them tomorrow, follow up to them next week. Maybe their banks got froze. Maybe he has to put money inside, his banks, whatever the case may be. That's why we have to follow up short term. Then we have to follow up long term. These are things like the person hopped on a call. He's interested, but right now it's just not a good time. The closer tried to overcome the objection, but was unable to. So he will follow up with him in a long-term basis. Now, there's some people who are just not going to be a good fit. For example, now if you're a coach, this is a tip that I have for you. Do not accept every single client that comes your way. Due to things like chargeback, reputation, and all of that. And then we also have the last follow-up, which is to follow up with a prospect one last time. And then we have dead, someone that went through the whole sales process and we were unable to close. Now, all of this is what allows my agency to get numbers like this. Not once, as you can see, a 92% show up rate for the month of May, a 52% close rate for that month, and for the month of June, a 95% show up rate and a 54% close rate, right? And we've done this numerous of times, as you can see right here: 44% close rate, 86% show up rate, 97%, 52%, 50%, and 100%. Now, some of these are launches, others are programs that were just only working for a month, right? So here are the numbers right there to show you that this sales process does work. Now that's going to lead us to the last and final thing, which is the scaling mechanism. Now, once you have your funnel that works, you've generated some sort of cash, you then need to build the sales team. Once your sales team is doing at least a 90% show up rate and a 40% close rate, then it's about scaling your coaching offer. Now, there are 3 core pieces to scaling your coaching offer, right? The first piece, which is very, very underrated and isn't talked about a lot in the whole coaching, course selling, info space, is communication. Now, every single one of my coaching offers has a communication hub. Ours is Discord, where we have chats for setters, closers, sales managers, offer owners, and everything we could possibly think of. We have things like setters, EODs, that tracks how many dials a setter put up, how many conversations, were they quality calls, how many appointments were set, how many calls are still on the calendar, cash collected, things like that, the biggest bottlenecks. We also have closer EODs, which are the same exact thing, but for the closers, how many calls were booked, objections that they're facing, things like that. Communication is very, 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 very key. Everyone needs to be talking. It's like playing basketball or playing any sort of sport when you were younger, right? Your coach always told you communication is extremely important. So that is one piece right there. The next piece is lead generation. Now, this is the biggest issue coaches and consultants are gonna have, as the year continues to go on and as info continues to mature. Now, everyone needs to start organically unless you have an offer that works already some way, somehow. If you don't have cash already coming in, I don't know how else you could prove it. But if you have an offer that is already working, then you can just start with paid ads. But typically everyone needs to start with organic, because if organic cannot sell your offer, paid will not be able to sell your offer, right? And the general organic system that I give for my core sellers, my coaches, my consultants is 2 YouTube videos a week, 1 call to action per month, which I do it myself, and 2 to 3 short-term videos every single day. Now, these 2 YouTube videos a week are sometimes lifestyle, sometimes it's testimonial, sometimes it's educational. It alternates between those 3 YouTube videos, right? Educational, lifestyle, and testimonial. Now, these are case dependent. Some offers, for example, like drop shipping, you're not going to be able to sell a coaching offer with lifestyle content in the drop shipping niche. The space for drop shipping is just very, very mature, and you're just not going to be able to sell it, right? Now, once you've generated at least $250,000 organically with your coaching offer, and you have a 90% show up rate and a 40% close rate, this is when you can start dumping money into paid ads. Now, before you start running paid ads, you need to have at least $5,000 ready to lose, because the game with ads is that it takes time. Ads aren't something that you just turn on and then the next day they're going to start making you money. A lot of data is required, and it's going to take time for you to start getting profitable ads. So if you start running ads, have at least $5,000 ready to spend, ready and able to lose. And the main reason why I tell everyone to start with organic before paid is because paid really eats up at your margins as a coach or consultant. So start with organic, get proof of concept of your offers, and then kind of have a system as to what your profit margins are going to be when you start running paid ads. Now, the last and final system that I have used to help coaches and consultants generate over $1 million in coaching program is data. Now, this is a dashboard that I create for every single one of my clients. Now, this dashboard keeps track of the close rate, show up rate, the closers, setter, commissions, where the leads are coming from. As you can see right here, this client specifically, most of the leads are coming from YouTube, the average order value, the reschedule rate, closed deals, book calls, everything you can possibly think of. Info products are a data game. If you understand your data, then you understand where you're going, and if you understand where you're going, the likelihood of you getting there is going to be much higher. So there you go. That's the exact systems that I have used to generate over $1 million for coaches and consultants. Now, you have a decent sized blueprint as to what the next steps are and how you can implement them yourself. But if you're a coach and consultant that wants me and my team to come inside of your business and implement them for you, your next step is to book a call. If you go and check out below, there is a link to a Typeform where we'll collect a little bit of data, understand a little bit about you, and you will be ultimately able to book a call if you qualify. Other than that, thank you guys for watching.